So on the 17th of January 2018, UNESCO IFAP, in collaboration with other partners, including Suronko Solutions and Dream Over, launched the Girls Can Code project here in Accra. And today we are privileged to have with us Ambassador Swanika, who is going to elaborate more on this project. Hello, madam. It's a privilege to have you with us. So tell us, can you give us a brief background about this project?
Yes. So I used to be the permanent delegate of Ghana to UNESCO, and we used to sit in conference, according to country. So the person sitting next to me was from Grenada, because Ghana, Grenada, and her name is Madam Shafika Haddad, and she happened to be both the deputy permanent delegate for Grenada and she's the IFAP chair. IFAP means Information for All program. And so they want to bring information to the people, to everyone, and specifically girls and women as part of the Sustainable Development Goals. So Goal 5 is women's empowerment and equality.
So what do you expect from this initiative?
Yeah, so the concern is that in general there's not enough ICT training, especially programming and coding, happening in schools. And I'm not just talking about Ghanaian schools, I'm talking the world over. So any country who recognizes this problem and acts quickly is going to have a comparative advantage over other countries in the near future. And therefore, it gives developing countries or sub-Saharan African countries an opportunity to move very quickly ahead in an area which is still fertile and full of opportunity.
Now, I know that you as a person, you're passionate about women and girls and ICT as well, but do you think this project is sustainable?
It's a project. I tell everybody it's a project in itself. My organization is a social enterprise, an NGO. It's called the Heritage and Cultural Society of Africa. The way we approach projects is to have our proposal, raise our funding, and execute our project. So our aim is to highlight areas where there are gaps. Our aim is to advocate for areas which need help. Once we do that, we leave it for the government or the private sector or whoever is actually supposed to be filling that gap. So we are just highlighting an issue and a problem. So fair enough, we started the fundraising from Paris with French companies, and then we came to Ghana to form our working group with the Kofi Annan Center for Excellence in ICT, who are the implementing partners, Suronko Foundation, who have experience in this area, the Ghana Education Service, who supported us particularly with the choice of the schools, and Dream Over Foundation, which is also a private ICT firm. So these partners all brought together their resources to help us to develop the project and fine-tune it for the Ghanaian case. And at the end of it, we realized we had to divide between the northern sector and the southern sector. So phase 1 will be the southern sector, and the money that we have raised so far hopefully will cover the southern sector. But we still need to raise money to carry out the project in the northern sector next year. When that happens, then the project is complete. And hopefully we would have created a model, a best practice, where girls can code after school and develop interest in pursuing ICT careers.
Okay. Now the startup is with about 20 girls. Going forward,
No,
how many girls so
okay.
far?
So describing the project, we have 10 schools, one from each region, and we have 30 girls from each school.
Okay.
Yeah. So in the end, we would have trained 300 girls. Yes. 30 girls from one school in each region.
30 girls from one school in each region. Okay.
Yeah.
But definitely we have more girls
Absolutely.
who need to benefit from this
Absolutely.
project. Going forward, how do you think government can partner the private sector to sponsor this or to support this financially so more girls can be involved?
Absolutely. So I think it is for government to take the responsibility and then try and bring the private sector along with it. So in my opinion, children should be learning coding, not just playing with computers, but coding, to understand how to create software for computers. And they should learn it like English or maths from class 1. It's a language, like you would learn French or German. You can learn coding, but instead, and in fact, most people who teach language will tell you the earlier you start, the better. So it's unfortunate that people start, let's say, French at 13 or 14, because if you start it at 3 or 4, you're more likely to speak it. And so let's not make that mistake with coding. Okay, simple games, simple activities for people to understand that, coding is 0 and 1. That's all. That's why I loved it, because I did basic, which is years ago, showing my age. But it is 0 and 1. You create commands for your computer or your robot, and then they do what you told them to do. So you can solve the solutions in your society.
That sounds quite interesting, though complicated to others, but I guess by the time we finish with this project, we will all be coding. But still on the way forward and sustaining the program,
project, yes.
you talked about government coming in,
Yes.
private sector coming in, and restarting early.
Yes.
So are you looking at a situation where it will eventually be introduced in schools?
Yes. So at the moment, I think it is opportunity cost. All right. At the moment, we invest in education, and every government which comes talks about investing in education. So we have to look at education and say, where do we want to spend the money? Okay. And then we need to think out of the box, create new models of education based on the current state of ICT. I'm not a specialist. The research has to be done. The feasibilities have to be done. The comparisons with what other countries needs to be done. But in the end, we need to ask ourselves, do we want to be on the cutting edge of ICT education? And if so, then we need to invest money in it going forward. And maybe, I'll give an example. And I'm not saying, we don't need new classrooms, and children are getting their books wet in the rain, or even themselves. So we need classrooms and all the other infrastructure. But if you can think outside the box and think of the capabilities of ICT, it means that if you have a brilliant teacher, and we all had brilliant teachers at school, and we also had those who you feel like falling asleep. A brilliant teacher, instead of reaching out to 40 students, can reach out to 4,000 students. That is the capability of coding.
Right.
Yes.
That's the capability of coding.
Yes, because through ICT, you can teach so many children how to access information. Okay, the information is there already. How do they access it?
So with this startup number of girls, are you also looking at the possibility of making them trainees, where they will also go back to their communities and maybe teach their colleagues who were not able to participate or were not fortunate enough to be selected?
Yes. I think it works the other way around. So the program begins with training the teachers. So each school selected will have some teachers and representatives coming to be trained at the Kofi Annan Center for Excellence. After they have trained their cohort of students, that capacity will remain in that school, and also the tools and materials will remain in that school so that new cohorts can come and benefit from what has been done. But we also hope that it can spread. So one school in a region, later on, hopefully 2 or 3 more schools, and so it goes on. And yes, maybe one day a girl who benefited might come back and teach, but you have to balance it. We wanted younger girls who don't have the weight of exams, and the JHS was the choice, because if you go to the senior secondary school, they are weighed down by university entry exams. So it means that you have to wait for them to grow up and go to university before they can come back and teach coding to other children.
Well, in conclusion, how are you going to convince parents to buy into this laudable initiative?
Yes. I'm glad you spoke about parents, because I think parents will be so enthused. Every parent wants the best for their child, and we all know that if you have been taught coding, you will never be in want of a job. People who can do computer programming are like hotcakes. Yes, so I don't think this will be an issue. In fact, maybe going forward, that is the solution. There are many parents who can pay for extracurricular activities for their children, but those activities don't exist. So it's something which can be done side by side. For those who are disadvantaged, people like Soronko Academy, hopefully our project, if we are able to raise more funding, can also support them. But it can also create a model for an paid after-school activity. Some kids go and learn piano, ballet, foreign languages. A lot of kids go and do extra classes to pass exams. But coding is also very, very valuable as a skill. And parents recognize this, and so I'm sure they'll be very happy to support.
Thank you very much. So what I take from you is that with Girls Can Code, it makes the girls more confident, it makes them assertive, it makes them employable and very creative. And in the long run, it's garnered the benefits.
Absolutely. And you witnessed our girls who gave testimony, how confident they were and how coding had enriched their lives and their futures.
Thank you very much.
Thank you too.
And we wish you all the best.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.